Hi, I'm Paul Conti, residential realtor, full-time realtor here with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, California Properties. And I'm also a co-manager of the Santa Ana office of our company, and I'm also a trainer with our company. I've been with our company for about 15 years, and I'm very excited to bring to you here Module 10, which is Prospecting 101, and a strong emphasis on open houses, on scripts and dialogues, and on the activities that I give a brief overview on in Module 1, which is Introduction to our company and Introduction into the real estate business. So now with Module 10 being Prospecting 101, I want to go a little further in depth into the activities that we help our agents utilize to become realtors and to make money sooner, and also to build a business for the long term. So in Module 1, one of the things I talked about was the benefit of becoming a territory-centric agent. And what I mean by that is that you become the local expert of an area that you choose, and you focus your activities as much as possible there. Now, in this class, Prospecting 101, I go in a little more in detail about what that territory should be like. In Module 1, I talked about how to choose it, how to do the research, how to look for an area that works for you and then also works for the growth of your business, because there's enough turnover, there's enough activity there, and you can cut out your share of your slice of the market share pie in that territory. But now I want to define that territory a little more. What should it look like? Well, I think a territory should be something maybe a couple miles, couple square miles, maybe a city, a local city here in the Southern California area. It could be a community of maybe 100,000 people to give you a basic idea of the size. It could be a zip code or a couple of cities combined, but it should be not something so large that you can't get to know the details about. Now, I'm not saying you have to door knock or telemarket every single home in that area. That would just be impossible to do. But it should be a territory where you can become the local expert. You want to get to know about the schools, you want to get to know about the market activity, some of the things that I covered in Module 1, but you also want to be able to choose for yourself a small neighborhood in that greater territory that I like to call your walking farm. This is an area where you can focus a few hours a week to door knock or distribute flyers and promotional materials, and literally ask people if they're looking at selling or buying a home, or they know someone who is. Now, in Module 1, I covered two types of lead generation. One of them is branding and the other is marketing. And I want you to use these activities in your territory and in that walking farm. So real quickly, to recap from Module 1, branding is all of the efforts you do to create an image of yourself as a local expert. But you're not necessarily talking to people. It can include postcards. It can include other kinds of mailers, email blasts when you have people's email addresses. It can include social media for the people who are friends of yours or that you follow on social media. It can include all kinds of other traditional things like local advertising. But none of that includes talking to people. Marketing, on the other hand, includes getting out there and talking to people. So when you have that walking farm identified in your geographic territory, you can go through there and distribute flyers, distribute promotional materials, knock on doors, and ask people, by the way, who do you know who's thinking of making a move? Here's some information about a home that just went on the market in your neighborhood. This is 123 Main Street, just a couple blocks away. You know, this is your chance to choose your new neighbor. Who do you know who's been thinking of moving into your neighborhood? Maybe a friend of yours from work or a family member who said they'd like to live here. And by the way, who do you know who's thinking of selling their home? Has any of your neighbors mentioned the thought of making a move? Any kind of dialogue like that, that's marketing. That's getting out there and talking to people. And you have to combine these activities. Your walking farm gives you the opportunity to do that. Your walking farm, I would suggest it be, at least to get started, no larger than about 400 homes. Identify street to street to street to street, maybe a square block. Send that information to your title company representative, and they'll be sure to get you a list of names and addresses of the people living there. Not that you have to refer to them by name, but it's good to know the basics of home ownership. If there are homes that are distress sales, maybe a notice of default, any kind of public information like that is helpful. And when you're going through that, a 400 home walking farm is something you can manage, maybe 50 homes a day, maybe 2 days a week. That's 100 homes a week, 4 weeks a month, and there's your 400 homes in that walking farm that you've been able to visit, drop something off if they're not home, knock and maybe talk to them for a second or so, however long they give you. And if they're too busy to speak, or if they're not home, you leave that information because you're going there next month again. So all of these activities, starting from your walking farm, kind of like the epicenter of your territory, and finding homes to hold open, even if they're not your listings, finding expired listings for sell by owners, canceled listings that you can go to using our promotional materials to ask them if they would still be interested in selling their home if you could bring them a buyer, or for sell by owners. Why don't you take this weekend off and let me hold an open house for you? No contract, no agreement. Maybe I can get your price plus a commission for myself. Wouldn't that be a benefit to you? And all of these efforts are ways to build yourself in your greater territory while you focus on that walking farm door to door. In that larger territory, you're finding opportunities like open houses, expired listings for sale by owners, and all the other activities that we cover a little more in detail. So you start with that geographic territory. Now, once you've got that territory identified using the research that we talked about in Module 1, start off with open houses. You know, I used the example of Bob Wolf in Module 1, where Bob Wolf was new to Southern California and held open houses every day on listings that were not his listings. So that's what I encourage you to do. We'll go over in a moment some of the scripts you can use to find realtors who may allow you to hold open houses on their listings. Once you get those open houses to hold, think about it. You're not only looking for business for the short term, you're looking for people that you can add to your database, your list of relationships. That's what a database is, nothing more than a list of relationships. People that you can add into that database as you bond with them and stay in touch with them for the long term. So years down the road, if you've got that database well built and it's what I call territory centric, you don't have to do all those activities of more open houses, more door knocking, etc. You can just use the activities of staying in touch with the people in that database for repeat business and referrals. And that's a great way to build your business, much like Bob Wolf did and so many trainers in the business. So let's talk just a quick overview on some of the basics in that geographic territory. Like I mentioned, number 1 is open houses. Number 2, for sell by owners, expireds, and cancels. So how do you find those? Well, you use your MLS. I encourage you, once you have that territory identified, have your territory as a saved search in the MLS that you can pull up anytime. That map's already saved. And then once you pull it up, you can just identify who the expired and canceled listings are. Cross-reference them and make sure they haven't relisted or resold. And then go to those people once a week. I encourage you to go in person because, as Bruce Mulhern, our broker, says, it's harder to get rid of a body than it is to get rid of a voice. So why call on them? Go to them. Remember, if they're in your local territory, you can get to all of them probably in a pretty short period of time because we're not talking about you getting outside of that geographic territory that you've chosen for yourself. So go to those people once a week. If they're not home, drop off your promotional item. You're going to go back next week. If they are home, you know, if I could bring a buyer to your home, would you still be interested in selling your home? And they might ask you, do you have a buyer for my home? Well, I wouldn't know unless I have a chance to see your home. Do you have a moment right now for me to take a quick look at your home, or can I come back another time? When would be a good time for you? You know, talking to them about some of the programs that we offer. We offer a great program called the Cosmetic Repair Program that I touch on in Module 1, where a seller maybe who could not have sold their home before because they couldn't get the price they want, maybe they didn't want to use some of their own cash to cosmetically improve their home to maybe get that top dollar price that they wanted, but what if they have enough equity that we can lend them the money against that equity do some basic cosmetic improvements to their home, and hopefully get it on the market to sell it for hopefully the top dollar price within the shortest time period. Would that be a benefit for them? We can offer that, which no other company that we're aware of can offer. That's an excellent opportunity to take that information to expired listings, canceled listings, for sale by owners. Going to them and directly in person. I mentioned a moment ago about telling for sale by owners that it'd be a great idea for them to take the weekend off and allow you to hold an open house for them so they can see how you work. And if you can get their price plus a small commission for yourself, wouldn't that be a benefit for them? No contract, no listing agreement, just let me show you how I work. So these are great opportunities in your geographic territory. Local business owners, especially when I have an open house scheduled for the weekend, I'll go into some of the small local businesses, maybe in the local strip center, and I'll introduce myself to them, and I'll ask, I'm going to hold an open house down the street on 123 Main Street. I'm not asking if I can leave my flyers here in your business for people to choose, but what I'd like to do is promote your business on my information board that I have on a big tripod stand in my open house. And I literally have a photo of it on my phone that I can show them just so they know what I'm talking about. I like to tie myself into the local community. I want people who come into my open houses to know that I know the community, and part of that is knowing some of the small businesses in the neighborhood. I'd love to promote your business. Do you have any promotional items, anything that I can put on my board to let people know about your business? I haven't had one person yet who said, no, I don't want that. Everyone I've talked to said, wow, what a great idea. Here's something that you can put up. One of them was a small wine boutique shop in my territory where I work. And she actually said to me, why don't you raffle off a free bottle of wine at your open house? And I thought, wow, what a great idea. So I pre-purchased a bottle of wine from her shop, and I created raffle cards. And that became one of the opportunities for me to get people's names and phone numbers at my open house. Would you like to enter our raffle for a free bottle of wine from this wine boutique shop? And I made sure that the winner of that raffle had to go to her business to pick up that bottle of wine so that the store owner could see how effective my open house was and our raffle was. And the person who came in learned about the business, might buy some other items as well or come back another time. It was a win-win situation, and I now come back to her and I network with her and I promote myself to her as the local realtor. So we've really gotten to know each other pretty well, the owner and the manager of that wine shop, and I do this with other businesses as well. It's a great way to tie yourself in. And remember, these business owners, they're going to know people who want to buy or sell. They're local mom and pop businesses, who talk to the local community and they get to know what's going on in their community. So they're a great source of referrals. What are some of the other things you can do in your territory that you've chosen? I talk about in my class the power of maybe a once a year or twice a year yard sale program. Now this is a big endeavor. This is something that you have to plan maybe a few months ahead of time. Maybe get your lender, your title rep, some other people to work this with you. But what you want to do every month as you're going, maybe through your walking farm, this might be something to keep to your local walking farm because you really want to keep this concentrated in a tight neighborhood. Every month when you go out with your flyers, promote the fact that you're going to be holding and promoting yard sale day on a set date that you've chosen, maybe a couple months out, 2 or 3 months out. Right now we're getting into the spring season. This is a great time to plan that. So anyone who's thinking of holding a yard sale to get rid of all those old items, do the spring cleaning, whatever the case may be, plan for that date and you will get signs out on that yard sale day. Make sure you can direct people to that yard sale. And for the next few months, if they enter the program with you and they register with you, you will promote their address on your upcoming flyers over the months to come that you're going through the neighborhood, and you're going to announce that they're going to be one of the homes holding a yard sale. On that big yard sale day, you're coordinating everything. You put out signs, you're driving from house to house to see how it's going, bring them bottles of water, bring them lunch, remind them that you appreciate that they're giving you the opportunity to promote them. This is a great way to get people who know you, might like you, trust you as the local expert. It's a long-term relation building activity. It's not something that's necessarily going to result in business tomorrow, but it deepens these relationships that you want to build in your geographic territory. And one other item I do, which is a great way to learn about the inventory, but also to promote myself to the local realtors, is I preview local homes that come on the market in my local territory. I'm fortunate in my area, one day a week is broker open house day, where the realtors, I myself have done this with my own listings in the territory, anyone who gets a new listing or maybe a price reduction on an existing listing can hold their home open for the realtors in the community, and the realtors know that 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on that day of the week is the day to go see the homes that are new on the market. So I go to them, I network with them, I talk to them, I leave my business card, I remind them that I'm a local realtor in the community. I started doing this because when I have that open house board at my open house, I want to put up there, I want to showcase some of the neighborhood inventory besides the home we're holding open. I'll make sure a lot of them are maybe a little higher price than the home I'm holding open. I want to make this home look like a good deal, but how many people come into an open house may not fall in love with the home they're in and will just walk right out if they don't have anything else to look at. When you have a board of other homes on the market with a map saying you are here, this is the home we're standing in, here's the pinpointed other homes on the map that are around us, other homes for sale, and then you have the full page printouts with color photos of those other homes, that becomes an information center that allows people to want to stay in your open houses longer because you're providing value for them to stick around. It's amazing how powerful that is. And that's where I put the local businesses that I'm promoting as well. And I'll put school information, maybe concerts on the green if it's summertime, Easter egg hunts if it's springtime, Christmas tree lightings if it's December, whatever the case may be. I want to show that I'm part of the community and that I know what's going on in the community. And that is on my big 3-panel board at my open houses. So these are all activities that you can utilize to get to know people and find opportunities of business in your territory. So once you have done that, once you are doing that and you're using what we call the Mayor Campaign Dialogue, credited to Brian Buffini Company Training Systems, to add people one by one into your database, how do you stay in touch with that database? Well, one of the activities is mailers, postcard mailers, email blasts, but then beyond that, we utilize pop-bys. Pop-bys are a way of going face-to-face and talking to people and just saying, hey, I was just in the neighborhood, I wanted to drop something off. Now this is different from your walking farm where you're going door to door to everybody in that walking farm once every 30 days. The pop-bys are the people that you have already added to your database. These are relationships. So you're literally driving to this person's home, then driving to this person's home, then driving to this person's home. You're going to people that you know. But if you're keeping it territory-centric, you're not driving all over the place, you're not spending hours in freeway traffic, you're keeping it in your local area, and you're able to work smarter instead of working harder. When you go to do these pop-bys, I try to make it something that's kind of seasonal. You know, right now, maybe in the month of March, going with lotto tickets, spreading the luck of the Irish for St. Patrick's Day. Christmas time, I like going with small seasonal items. Thanksgiving time, I actually went with inexpensive Tupperware containers, you know, with a tag saying whether you're hosting your Thanksgiving get-together or you're going to someone else's home, I'm sure these containers will come handy for leftovers. Whatever the case may be, it's not about the value of the item. Usually they're pretty inexpensive items, but it's something that's personal either to them because you're taking it to them personally, you know what they like and what they would like, or it's something seasonal, whatever the case may be. When you go to them, if they're not home, you leave it there. Maybe follow up later with a phone call, whatever the case may be. But if they are home, you say something along the lines of, hey, you know, I can't stick around. I've got the engine running. I know I didn't come announced. I just dropped by to say, I really appreciate, you know, you allowing me to stay in touch with you. I just wanted to remind you I'm the local real estate expert. If there's ever anything I can do for you or someone you know, I'd love to be the realtor that you refer them to. So Here's a little item just to say I was thinking of you. I got to get going. I've got more people to see. There have been times when they want you to come in. Either they're being polite or they just really want to, spend some more time with you, depending on how well you know them. And they may invite you into their home. Come on in. You want a soft drink, or you want to see the improvements we just did to the kitchen. You got to resist those temptations, I'll tell you, because those pop-bys can turn into plop-bys, and before you know it, you don't have time to go and finish all the other people you got to see for the day. But another thing I do, and this is very important, I've realized you want to train them that whenever you come to do a pop-by, remember, these are unannounced visits. You're not here to impose on them, because the next time you come, they're going to think, wow, now he's coming and he's going to take up the rest of my afternoon this time like he did the last time. So if they ever say, do you want to come in or anything, I'll say, I've got more people to go see. If you'd like, why don't I set a time and I'll bring some Starbucks, whatever, and we'll hang out for a while and I'll take a look at your kitchen improvements, whatever the case may be. So let's set a time. Is next week good for you? What's a good time? But don't let them take you away, because you want to remind them this is an unannounced visit. You're just here for a pop-by. It's very important. Besides, you got to get to the rest of your people. These are small but very powerful ways to deepen those existing relationships. We also talk about the power of note cards. And you might not think that a note card in the mail is very powerful, but in this electronic age of email and social media, getting a handwritten note card, a handwritten envelope with a note card inside in the mail is more powerful today than it's ever been. Most of us look through our mail, U.S. mail that we get in the mailbox, we look at it standing over the trash can, and we're trying to weed out the junk and just hold on to that important bill or item that we have to read. We want to get rid of the mail. So when you see something that's handwritten to you, you stop for a moment and you do take the time to look at it, and just a couple lines to say, hey, it was good to see you the other day when I popped by and I dropped off that item, or happy birthday, happy anniversary, happy whatever, happy kid's birthday, whatever the case may be. 2 or 3 lines on that note tell the person you actually cared enough to sit down and write a note, lick an envelope and put a stamp on the envelope and handwrite that envelope and drive and put it in the mailbox. That's an incredible feat for this day and age where everything is electronic. So doing a few of those every day, you could do just 3 notes a day, go through your database, see what special event there is or who you just talked to recently that you can send a thank you note to, whatever the case may be, any excuse to write a few notes a day. I guarantee you it's going to deepen those existing relationships with that database that you're building. And maybe, like I mentioned earlier as well, maybe a once or twice a year mixer or appreciation event, just to say, I really appreciate you letting me stay in touch with you. I'm the local realtor. Anything that I can do for you or your referrals, I just wanted to show you my appreciation. And maybe you co-host this with your lender, maybe in one of the small businesses that you're also networking with. It's all a way to deepen the relationships in your territory. Then, lastly, what I want to get into is a little more into the specifics of the open house. Now, I have a few scripts. Remember what I told you before, just like Bob Wolf, if you don't have a listing of your own in the territory that you're building, how do you get a listing for you to hold open? Well, I'm going to explain to you that when I have a listing that's outside of my territory, I may want to hold the first 1 or 2 open houses to get some feedback from the people who come in. But I tell my sellers up front, if they do want open houses, because not all sellers want open houses, I'll tell them, I work with a team of other realtors from my company. It may not be me who's holding every house open. As long as we get exposure and it's an agent from my company that I know is going to take good care of the home and give me feedback on how many people came in and what's their feedback about the home, and of course they take good care of your home and lock it all up and turn off all the lights, any of us may be the one to hold it open when you allow us to hold it open. Then, with that understanding, like I said, I'll hold open the first couple of open houses, but I want to focus on getting other realtors to hold my listings open when they're outside of my territory, and I look for other agents' homes that I can hold open in my territory, because wherever you hold open houses, you're meeting people for that area, and it's so powerful to be territory-centric. So we get into some of the scripts in calling these realtors, And not asking them for permission, can I hold your home open, will you do me that favor, but rather, Mr. or Mrs. Listing Agent, if you allow me to hold your home open this weekend, I'm going to market your home all week long with a minimum of 100 flyers, door to door, promoting my open house for the weekend, and also promoting your listing and asking people who do they know who might be interested in buying a home like this. And if they'd like to come to the open house or invite their friend who's looking for a home like this, we'll be holding it open this Saturday or this Sunday, 1 to 4 p.m., whatever the case may be, weekday open house, whatever it is. But I'm going to market your home for you, and every time you let me hold it open, any weekend or weekday that you allow me to hold it open, that whole week beforehand, I'm going to do the same minimum of 100 flyers promoting it to another adjacent neighborhood. I'm going to be your marketing partner to get your home sold. Now, I deliberately call out-of-area agents who are not farming this local area. I do the research and I find out they're not local realtors and they just want to get the home sold, but they're not necessarily looking to farm this area because it's not their territory. It's my territory, but not theirs. So these are the people I specifically call on to see if I can hold their listings open. I also go into the scripts, when we're in the open house, how to use that board, that information center, how to use that to build conversations. Remember what I said earlier, a lot of people, if they walk into an open house and they don't like this home, they'll just walk right out and look for something else. But if you have that information board well developed, well presented with other listings, as well as community information, that becomes an information center that keeps them in the home longer. So I use my scripts to talk to them, ask them open-ended questions, get them talking. Some people do want to leave, and that's fine. If they don't want to talk, I'm not here to chase them down. But the people who do want to answer those open-ended questions, we find out a little about what they're looking for. And I'll refer to homes here. You know, you told me you're looking for a home that's like this, this, and this. Can I tell you this home here is a great opportunity? I may explain a little bit about the home that you can't even tell from the flyer, but I know about the homes because I previewed them because these are homes in my territory. So we get into the scripts of how to use these open-ended questions to then get into, why don't I send you some information? I'd be happy to just keep you up to date about anything that's new on the market. By the way, are you working with a realtor? And if you are, is that realtor a local expert like I am? And wouldn't you rather work with a local expert instead of a realtor from out of the area? Like most of their realtors are from out of the area. So we get into how I use those scripts to get their phone number, get their email address, and get their permission to stay in touch with them. So this is just a quick introduction to Prospecting 101. We encourage you to build a territory, find business opportunities in that territory while at the same time building a long-term relationship database so that you can down the road work smarter and not harder and not have to reinvent the wheel every day. And open houses tend to be the centerpiece of that because it's a great way to build that database. But all of these activities work together. And then lastly, we put it all into a 7-day-a-week calendar so I can show you how you, whether you're full-time or a part-time agent, you can get all these activities done every day and every week. Thanks very much. This is a quick intro to Prospecting 101. Thanks.